Hey guys, and welcome to our first Champions video. This is where the fun really starts. When playing a champion, you will not find yourself repeating what will happen in a matchup or a game. There are endless possibilities to a single action, and that's what makes this game so fun. Before we look into each champion and their characteristics, I want to look at all of the champions together and look at the characteristics they all share. So let's get started. Every champion shares a set of base stats, which they have without adding any new stats to them. These stats are found at the bottom of your screen in game. These stats listed here are health, attack speed, attack damage, armor, magic resistance, ability power and movement speed. On most, but not all champions, you will find mana, but on other champions they will use another resource to cast the skills, or in very few cases don't use a resource at all. Along with your own stats, you can view your enemies as well by clicking on the champion. As you gain more knowledge of the game through watching my future videos and playing the game, you will use this to build against your enemy and have a larger impact on the game. However, there are still some stat secrets. Once in game, you can press the C button and view even more stats, and these new stats you can't see when selecting an enemy. These stats are health regeneration, armor penetration, life steal, critical chance, attack range, mana regeneration, magic penetration, spell vamp, cooldown reduction and tenacity. All these stats help your champion depending on what role you are playing in the game. If you want to know what these stats do, I will leave a link to my blog post below explaining exactly what they do. But for now, let's move on. Okay, so how do I know what role my champion is suited for? So every base stat on a champion is different. Although the client says what the champion is best at, it's not always the case. You have to answer these questions for yourself. Is your champion's base health particularly high for a level 1? Do you have a lot of burst, good wave clear and etc. All these things will tell you a little about your champion, and the roles they are suited in are slowly narrowed down to 1 or 2. For example, there is Dr. Mundo. He has a lot of health, armor and magic resistance, but no damage. So he's not going to be a mid laner or an AD carry of the team. He only has one skill that is used for poke and will only slow the opponent down. It will not prevent them from moving completely, so he won't be a great support either. This means he'll be useful for top and jungle. As his skills cost his own health, he's a weak jungler early on, but is stronger further into the game. But that's just not good enough for us. Therefore, he would make a good tank in the top lane, ready to assist his team and get into the back line of the enemy without too much health loss. Now, let's look at how we can make our champion stronger. There are many ways to make your champion stronger, and in a game you have to be fast-minded and know what item you want to pick up instantly. There is no simple way of explaining how to do this, it just takes time and practice to get to know every item in the game. However, I'm going to show you a way to narrow it down, so instead of hundreds of items, you have a choice of about 20. So here comes the League of Legends calculations. For this example, we'll stick with Dr. Mundo. We know Mundo is a tank, so we need to focus on defensive items. He is manaless, so we need to ignore items with offensive stats and mana. The defensive stats are health regeneration, armor and magic resist. From the very early stages of the game, those items that you buy turn into your first completed item. When you build items, you aren't only building them to make you stay alive longer, you build your items to fit a certain purpose relevant in that stage of the game, and will continue to help throughout. For example, against immobile champions, you may want to purchase Randuin's Omen. This gives you the defensive stats you need and a unique active which slows nearby enemies, making it easier for your team to chase the enemy down. Early on, you may want to take a step towards a conventional build and build Spirit Visage for your big regeneration rate. There are many possibilities, but they all follow the same pattern. Be familiar with your champion to know what items they need and know at least a little about the enemy champion so you can minimize their damage. But remember, you must always buy boots early on. Boots are important. The movement speed given is extremely helpful for you throughout the game, and it is wise to buy boots as your first or second item. Make sure you buy boots that will help you throughout the game and not just for a part of it. Lastly, I want to explain what a unique passive and a unique active is. The unique passive is similar to your champion's passive, which is an automatic skill. It doesn't need to be activated like a normal skill. When a unique passive is on an item, upon buying that item you automatically gain the passive and hold onto that passive as long as you have the item in your inventory. Whereas a unique active is something you have to activate to gain. On your inventory, each slot is labelled with a number. When you own an item that has an active, the number will become highlighted, and then when you want to use that active, you select the number on your keyboard to activate it, and the active will be applied to your champion or surroundings, depending on what that active does. Okay, that is all for another video. In the next video, I will introduce the summoner spells that you take onto any map with your champion. Remember to subscribe, leave a like and a comment. See you next time. Bye!